Samuel, it's a pleasure to meet you personally for the first time. How are you?
Yes, it's a pleasure. Thanks a lot for the kind words. And now I can see you face to face. We've talked a lot on the phone lately, but yeah, you're a bit further away from Switzerland, but it's nice to see you face to face.
I know.
How are you?
It's the beauty of this virtual world that keep us
Very
together,
true.
no matter what, no matter what. I'm very well, Samuel, and I'm as I said, I'm excited. I'm inspired, to see what's happening with one of the brands, and I have been seeing, if you like, growing because I'm a bit older than you. I started
Yeah.
in 2002 in this market, and I remember Hautlence springing up almost from nowhere, proposing crazy watchmaking, incredible engineering, and very alternative aesthetics back in 2004 when it was a bit crazy, besides the usual names, Felix Baumgartner and Max, with his Opus Saga, Harry Winston, that had taken a little bit the push from the first wave of watchmakers, independent watchmakers such as Vienna Alter, Sven Andersen, etc., Vincent Calabrese, etc. So crazy brand from the beginning. We are now fast forward to 2022. What's happening, Samuel, and what are you trying to do being in charge now, being the man in charge?
So I think, you did a nice introduction with 2004. Yeah, this was the time of these independencies, this research, or this the independence that we know of today. As you mentioned, we have an Urwerk, we have a Max with MB&F, and there's many other brands that came around this time. And I think that's what is the real interesting story behind Hautlence. We have a brand that is that was there from the beginning and has went through these crazy ideas, came up with these crazy concepts with Möbius, the HL2s, and so on. I mean, really interesting to look at, and really it brought about these dreams that we have, something that we'd only seen in our dreams that's that crazy, and brought it to life. And I think that's the interesting part of this brand. It's really something that we're continuing, that has gone on up to the latest launch. That was the Sphere, back the first version in 2019, and then the second one in 2020. And so this was
Sphere,
really important.
Just in brackets, and I don't want to cut you, but the HL Sphere is possibly one of my top five independent timepieces. Absolutely spectacular.
Nice to hear. I'm actually wearing the original one here.
Lucky you. Yeah, lucky you.
I'll send it to you afterwards and you can wear it for a bit. But yeah, so for us, it's important to keep this tradition going, but at the same time to kind of, we're pushing a bit, I'm sure you've seen these teasers and so on that we've been pushing on the website and on Instagram and through different medias. It's really the idea to bring about the next chapter. So we have certain elements. I'll tell you a bit. I mean, it's info between the two of us and everyone else who's watching here. These are all, of course, interested collectors. We are keeping iconic. For us, it was important to keep these iconic elements, what make an Hautlence, if you will. So, like, for instance, especially this Sphere where we have here is this TV-shaped case, and just certain elements and this element of movement that we see with the Sphere.
We kind of guessed through the first teasers that you have, you're going to insist on the TV screen shape, which is definitely iconic for the brand.
And what we're doing here is we're not only keeping the TV shape, but we're bringing it really to the next level. We saw on those images already, the first few that we've presented, really it looks slightly different, especially from the side and the crown. But that's something interesting that you'll have to wait and see another day. We're planning on launching tomorrow at 10 o'clock, so the wait won't be too much longer. But yeah, these are these elements that for us were extremely important for the brand. And it's something
I'll try to refrain until 10 o'clock tomorrow, promise.
Yeah, we'll try to, we can divulge a bit, we can tease a bit here as well and give a couple, because you've of course seen the images already. So I'm glad to maybe give a bit more information during our talk.
Yeah. So if we may, because of course we like to try to send some kind of insider information before it becomes too late, because collectors are enjoying this success of independent watchmaking, but sometimes there is a backlash of the fact that we build a lot of interest and a lot of thirst for certain timepieces, and then they don't become available, and that creates a bit of a paradoxical situation, if you like. So what can we say from the aesthetics point of view and from the engineering point of view? Have you worked on both aspects, I suppose, so for these new launches?
Yes, so this is a very big launch. It's not only for us a new model, it's also an important launch because it's bringing the brand back on the map. I mean, we've been around. It's not that Hautlence has gone. As we mentioned, the Sphere is a latest model that was launched a couple of years ago. It's not that we've been gone, but it's just we want to get back in the foreground. And so we didn't only decide to do an aesthetics, to approach this new piece with new aesthetics, but also the entire mechanical aspect. So we like to say it's full of news and full of don'ts, if you will. And what we do is we have a 9th caliber, so a completely new caliber that we've put into this piece, a completely new way of telling time that you haven't seen here at Hautlence. So it's really full of news, the new case, as we mentioned, new straps. I'm sure you've realized that there is a nice integration, if you will, with the case, which if we take this old one, for instance, this is a more, if you will, traditional approach. And the new one is much more, the keyword would be sporty and modern. And this is
the last word I would have thought of to describe the HL Sphere when you use the word traditional, but I know what you mean. From the engineering perspective, Samuel, sorry to cut you there, but I want to go a little bit deeper on this.
Of course.
Hautlence is famous for having worked with both traditional complications as well as, made up, completely invented complications, such as the kinetic retrograde display of time, which you are proudly now showcasing on your wrist. The new launch, will it be something on those lines, more of a reinterpretation of an existing complication, or brand new complication as well?
So it's a mix of the two. So on the one hand, for us, the horological side of things, the traditional, the fine watchmaking, if you will, is extremely important for us. And so that part, the horlogerie, is here to stay. It's very important. We'll be sporting quite a few complications. But what will be a bit crazier, if we can say that, is the way we're telling time. So it's not a reinvented Sphere or a reinvented HL2. It's really a completely new way of telling time.
And that's the news as well. As I want to thank all of those that are watching here. Indies Watches Collector is asking, make it water resistant, please. That's a good point, always a good point, especially from the perspective of somebody that is still on holiday like myself. Indies Watch Collectors also says, show us. I'm afraid you'll have to wait until tomorrow. It's not long now. But yeah, you made an interesting point. The watch is going to show the time, yeah, Samuel, because Hautlence pushed it so far in the past that with pieces such as the playground labyrinth, I think it was called,
exactly,
and the pinball as well. I think the time was not even the time was not even a feature. So are you going to explore that side of things, or are we staying traditional enough this time?
So in this case, we will be staying traditionally enough in the sense that you can read the time, that for sure. We'll see what the future brings. It's possible that maybe we play with that direction in the future as well. But for this time, I would say it's much more traditional in the sense that I'll divulge you a bit. It'll be timekeeping in the sense of minutes and hours, very much like the Sphere. But the rest you'll have to see.
Of course. And there is a question I received from some of our collectors, and I would like to see how much you can share with us. And sorry, that was my other phone. How much you can share with us is obviously the synergy and the partnership with Moser. Moser, a brand that we all admire, and we've been admiring for a long time. We used to be official retailers with the limited edition, but we still are big admirers of the brand. Some collectors don't realize that actually, there is a partnership, and we call Hautlence as a sister company of Moser. The most attentive of them will remember some collaborations as well, where Moser has launched a couple of timepieces that were actually powered by an Hautlence caliber, the famous Wandering Hours. Of course, I think the Moser model was called the Flying Hours.
Exactly, the Flying Hours.
Yeah, and I remember really loving that piece because of the mix between classic and how can I say, bohemian horology, creative horology. So where is this synergy standing at the moment? Are you based with Moser within the Moser headquarters? How do you interact with Moser, and what is the future in that respect?
Exactly. So as you mentioned, in 2004, when the brand was launched, as the anagram states, the brand was in Neuchâtel. And about a year and a half, 2 years ago, we brought Hautlence to Neuhausen, so in Schaffhausen in the northeast of Switzerland as well. And so we are here at the headquarters. So I'm in the headquarters right now. And what we have here is a small group of creatives, if you will, that are really focused on Hautlence. So while we're at the headquarters here in Schaffhausen of Moser, we really have a small team that's only focused on Hautlence. The synergies, of course, that helps us a lot in the sense that we can, there's a lot of know-how that Moser and the quality that Moser stands for. And we're able to take this knowledge and profit from it as well. And so I think it's really a two-way street. We have the kind of crazy sister company here, Hautlence, that Moser also profits from, as you mentioned, the flying hours, the 3 different versions that were launched some years back. There were, I believe, 3 in total. And so, yeah, it's really a two-way street, but for now we are here in Schaffhausen as well.
It kind of works if you think about it, because of course Moser has a mission of taking a different spin on traditional watchmaking. So that's what Moser was known for, and under the guidance of obviously Edouard Mélin, is even dramatized this kind of aspect. And Hautlence provides exactly that from an engineering perspective, and because of the history of what they've been doing, especially in the early days. So that's where how you're going to interpret it. So Hautlence is going to keep pushing Moser to be as creative as Moser can possibly be, and at the same time Moser is going to try to solidify and help Hautlence really finding its place in the watchmaking scenario.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it perfectly. I mean, we have these 2 brands which are on the almost 2 extremes of the spectrum. We have the crazy with let's say Moser with the very traditional approach to watchmaking, the cases, the round cases, and so on. And we have Hautlence, which goes more in the loud approach, the bigger watches. And so, yeah, we are really able to build on each other's strengths and build the companies.
Yeah, and I can see that clearly, and I want to thank all of those that are watching this broadcast. So we are live with Samuel from Hautlence, the new guy in charge of Hautlence, and excited as I am in view of this week, where the brand will be completely relaunched with a product launch that we can't yet share. But if you go on both Hautlence's Instagram account and the limited edition Instagram account, you can see some teasing images, and you can start having an idea. Compared to what was done in the past, I know that, for example, for Moser, the idea of having brand ambassadors or people that would proudly showcase in their watch on their wrist, with the mission of creating brand equity, has never been the path of Moser. Moser has always been famous for alternative marketing solutions related to surprising always and stun the clientele. Will Hautlence go in the same way? Although I remember the partnership with Eric Cantona as one of the most suitable that I've seen in watchmaking, although I'm not a big fan of this kind of endorsement. But Cantona was obviously risky and edgy enough to actually be fitting with Hautlence. Do you see that as a marketing pillar for you in the future, or are you going to abandon that kind of route?
So yeah, as you mentioned, I mean, with Cantona, it was very in line with the image. It's something for this first launch that we are not focusing on. It's an avenue that we're interested in continuing in the future, possibly looking into in the future. But for now, we have decided to really hone in and to really focus on the just on the base and the watchmaking people that you follow that are following this interview now.
Yeah, makes sense. More on the technical side, Samuel, can you share some details? There are some watchmakers that obviously contemporary watchmakers, they make their own timepieces A to Z, one after the other one. In a company like Moser, I suppose, obviously, and I have visited the Moser premises with a collector a few years ago, and it was a great experience. But there are different departments in charge of the different size of manufacturing, from the assembling to the finishing, to the engineering, etc., etc. Will Hautlence be the kind of brand where one watchmaker will be in charge of one single timepiece, or are you gonna exploit, the expertise that you have in the different departments that already Moser covers so well? I don't know if it's clear enough.
Yeah, no, I understand exactly what. So I think this is where the synergies, this is the advantage we have of the synergy of being in the same family holding with Moser, is that we are able to profit from that know-how and the structure that exists. Because obviously producing as much as Moser does in-house takes quite a lot of work and to build up. And of course, if we're honest, a lot of money. And this is something that we are now able to profit from. So the structure at Hautlence in production terms is very similar to the way that Moser does it. And we try to do as much in-house, so within these four walls, meaning between the two brands. And that's really what the synergy is also bringing to the table on this side, for the side of Hautlence, that we are able to.
There won't be a star watchmaker that you will put forward as possibly as a responsible for the engineering, especially developments that you have in the pipeline.
So we have certain watchmakers that only focus that work on Hautlence, but it's not the entire team as the entire Moser team. It's only select few people. So yes, there are a few that will be shown as well, or that are really involved. But it won't be, for instance, just one watchmaker that produces all. So if we talk about the future, we're going to be producing around 150 to 200 pieces a year. And these numbers won't all go through one watchmaker, but we have that small team that is really focused on Hautlence. The advantage being that we're able to use this predefined production standard or structure that Moser has already produced.
Very good. So this broadcast is live now, and of course we fully appreciate that at lunchtime, not everybody can be available, but the recording stays on our channel for the future. And I know that you enjoy, whoever is following this live, enjoy watching afterwards and later on. So don't hesitate to send us any comment or any question you may have for Samuel. Again, newly on board at Hautlence, or to myself, or if you want, just right now as we round up this conversation with Samuel. From the strategical point of view, I come from a corporate background. I've read your biography, and I know you'll understand this very well, Samuel. We're living interesting days in independent watchmaking, where the demand is absolutely incredibly great. At the limited edition, we represent over 60 contemporary and independent watch brands. And we can't keep up with the interest that there is at the moment. So there is a slight sometimes how can I say, attitude or will to go in too many directions for some of the brands. I think one of the things Hautlence did very well from the past till to now is to focus on certain strengths. As you said, the TV screen shape and the crazy engineering. These are the two main how can I say, assets. Without having to create a diver because everyone needs a diver, or a pilot watch because everyone needs a pilot, or a chronograph, or just a tourbillon, etc., etc. So would you feel that also, given the limited production capacity, definitely the brand is going to go in this direction of going deeper rather than wider?
Exactly. I think that was very important for us. And that's what I mentioned at the beginning, kind of trying to hone in on what makes the Hautlence and Hautlence. And I think that is key to the success of this brand, but of any brand actually, is to really be authentic and to know what is important for this brand and what it means to be a brand. So as you mentioned, a diver or something like that, this is not what Hautlence stands for now. I mean, it can of course be that the brand evolves. I mean, why not evolve in the future? But for the way the brand is now, we are really focusing on the key elements that make the brand what it is. And I think that was always our goal, especially for this first launch. And it'll be, of course, interesting to hear from you and from everyone what your thoughts are, but really to hone in on what makes a brand the brand. And so this is something we tried very much for this piece, and another surprise that we have during Geneva Watch Days then, so next week, but really because we have already heard some comments from, because there are of course a few people like yourself that have seen the pieces, and we've heard from many people, oh yes, this truly is an Hautlence. We can see this DNA within it, and we can see how this is the next step in the brand. And for us, that's very important, that we can see the Hautlence of the future, but also of the past simultaneously.
Absolutely. And from my side, I can say, Samuel, easily, because the mission of the limited edition, when we represent over 60 independent watchmakers, is not to just create a portfolio where anyone is allowed in, but is to give a wider view to any collector that access the platform, so you can have really the widest view possible on the world of watchmaking. And we see a lot from the engineering perspective, the aesthetics, from the less to the most extreme. I have to say that when you share with me the images of the new launch, I was blown away, because I think it's a great midway between keeping the aesthetics where they should be and the engineering as surprising as it should be to be an Hautlence, but at the same time consolidate on the history that you already have, because not many watchmakers can count on 18 years of continuous history in stunning and surprising the clientele. So that is my take. So
I'm very glad to hear that, because that's of course the best kind of that's the best thing to hear, is when we hear, especially people who have been in the industry, who know the product so well, that and the brand so well, that to hear this kind of a comment, it's of course the best the best thing to hear.
No, it's really a pleasure, and you gave as well. Thank you for that. You gave a good fact and a good inside information on the fact that you will be at Geneva Watch Days next week, and I look forward to coming and visiting. And we have a question from Indies watch collectors, because some of our watchmakers and watchmakers in general, watch collectors, will be in Geneva next week. So are they allowed to pop in? Are they allowed to get in touch?
Yes.
Where will you be?
Of course, yeah. I'd be very happy to meet everyone, and we'll be glad to show you the piece that we'll be presenting tomorrow during Geneva Watch Days. And we will be at the Beau Rivage, so we'll be right next to Moser. There are quite a few brands there in the Beau Rivage actually, and we will be there. So pop in. We're gonna have a nice stand there, and we'll be glad to discuss and to just show you what we have planned for the future.
Very good, very good. And looking a little bit forward, did you manage to have any candidature in the upcoming GPAG, or you're obviously keeping that for next year, I suppose?
We'll be keeping it for next year. We have a couple of tricks up our sleeves, if you will, in the next coming months. So we thought, rather than pushing it this year, we're going to push it for next year. So we're definitely interested in playing for next year.
Yes, excuse me for the rhetorical question, because I'm a member of the academy, so I could see that Hautlence was not there next year, but I obviously wanted to know if you see that as an asset, and I truly believe that Hautlence can have a place.
It's definitely. I mean, it was in the discussion already quite a while back, but we just thought, rather let's push it for next year, and then and use that as an asset, as you mentioned.
Yeah, fantastic. And Samuel, just to know you a little bit more, for the people that are watching and will watch this, why Hautlence? I read your biography. You have, for such a young man, you already have quite a deep experience that you can count on. You have lived abroad, studying in the US, so you have a truly multinational cultural background. Why did you decide to go so narrow and so niche? Like it happened to me in the past.
Yeah.
But what was your motive and your inspiration to be doing that?
So I very much grew up in the watch industry, not only in the sense of the previous jobs. I mean, I've worked for Moser also for about 3 years before starting this journey with Hautlence. But even before that, so I very much grew up in a watchmaking household, both sides of the family. My brother is also a watchmaker. I believe it's fourth generation. So we really have this in our blood. And as I grew up, I was always very much involved in these independent brands. And my taste, I would say, became more and more extreme as time passed, and just especially on the mechanical side of things. So I also work on cars and planes and so on. And so I'm very much mechanically inclined. And so watchmaking is fantastic because you have all of this mechanical, all this interesting mechanical work on your wrist, and it's just fascinating for me. And then the independence in general is a very familiar, very innovative side of the industry, almost art. I would say it's one of those few industries where it's still art is an extremely important part of it. And Hautlence kind of brought these two things together. We have the side of mechanical interest and the creativity at the same time. So for me, it was very much that perfect fit, if you will.
Do you see the fact that obviously independent watchmaking is now, I feel kind of sick saying this, but it's not a trend, but it's so big at the moment that
it's almost mainstream.
It's incredibly popular, and there is a big problem with scarcity and production capacity that obviously is making quite a few collectors unhappy because, as I said before, not being able to get what they are inspired to love, if you like. Are you more worried about the competition out there, because there are some incredible watchmakers, and we on a daily basis we have broadcasts like we are having today, and as Hautlence there are so many others that are doing incredible things out there? Or are you more worried about not being able to deliver what you are proposing as a main challenge for the future of Hautlence?
So I think for us it really is the second one you said. It really is the problem of delivering. So it's always this balancing act, I'm sure everybody here knows or has experienced themselves. On the one hand, you want to be able to deliver it on as many as all the requests that you have, but on the other hand, that is what will also hurt the brand. Even if we had the capacity to produce for all the requests that we've had, it's extremely important for us to protect the brand and keep it alive for the years to come. So for us, it's much more the supply, which is a bit more difficult to get a hold of. And I think we have a special kind of customer that's interested in Hautlence. It's not a typical product where if another brand comes along and does something that we have to be afraid that we'll lose interest or customers. I think we really have a special brand, a real relationship to the customers or owners who have had Hautlence in the past, but also just aesthetically and what the brand stands for. And I think, so for me, the first point, I'm more afraid that someone else will jump in and do something similar is not really too much on my radar. It's much more trying to be able to deliver to the people who are interested.
Yeah, and I can confirm that is a massive challenge these days, which is why also the limited edition, we try to focus on trying to share the information as much as we can, bring a genuine and honest communication so that then people can make educated and how can I say, balanced decision based on true elements rather than just hype and obviously marketing exposure, if you like. So thank you for giving us this time, because we have done just that. I believe we've just done that. We have introduced the new Hautlence in a way. Of course, the big thing will happen tomorrow. And this broadcast will be on our channel, IGTV channel. And so let us know after you see the watches what you think and what you believe is could have been done possibly in a different way. But I'm sure you'll be all surprised and you'll see how strong Hautlence is coming back. It's been a great pleasure, Samuel. I look forward to see you next week. Can we say then, for people that are possibly interested to come and see you and us in Geneva, to get in touch through your Instagram account? And
yes, we can do it like that, either over Hautlence or through me directly. Yes, for sure. There's also on the website, you can also send us an email, give us a call, anything. just connect with us, and then we'll be glad to organize that. And I'd like to thank you too for the chance to chat with you. It was a very interesting chat, and for giving us this fantastic platform that to just present the exciting news that's to come tomorrow and in the coming weeks and months. And
thank you.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you. We've always had a soft spot for Hautlence, and there have been up and downs, like it happens with many contemporary watchmakers, and now it's looking like a bright future is ahead. So congratulations for the work you've already done. I have seen the product launch, and massive congratulations, because I've put my face on it and much. Say that many collectors will be really pleasantly surprised tomorrow. And I shall see you next week and on this virtual channel, possibly in the future, so you can tell us how the launch has gone, and how we can obviously share more information with our audience. Thanks so much.
Glad. Thank you very much, and to everyone who's joined and linked, who's joined and listened to the conversation.
Thank you. You take care. I'll see you very soon.
Thank you. You too. See you very soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.